Hi everyone and welcome back to Extra Roly. What is the tea? What is the Darjeeling? The Lapsang Souchong, the Scalding Hot Sun, the Earl Grey. What shall I say is the tea? The tea today is dark chai flavour from Twinings. Delicious. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome back to my second channel. Now, on Instagram, I posted a couple days ago that I really wanted to do just like an old school Q&A video. We've not really done this for a long time. It used to be like a big series on my channel, but of course, over the years, obviously when the piercing stuff kind of took over, everything else took a backseat. And I've just realized I've not done like some sort of just chatty Q&A for so long. I thought, you know what, let's do it today. So yes, Instagram, I asked for your questions. So all of your questions are here. They're all just here like ready for me to go through. I'm going into this blind. I've got all of the questions here right in front of me. I've not read through any, obviously the ones I can see on my screen right now I can see, but it's a complete surprise. And I said, ask me anything. I said, it doesn't have to be to do with piercings or tattoos. It can be anything you like. So I'm interested to see what you guys have asked. I know some of it's probably going to make me go, do I want to answer that question? Thanks so much for joining me today. If you are new, hello, my name is Roly. I'm a YouTuber here, piercing, body modification, tattoo, Reddit person, LGBT, fabulous one individual, personally on the internet. Subscribe, welcome to the channel. This is my second channel. I do have a main channel. This is just my little extra channel. Yeah, I really want to try and get this channel up to 100,000 subscribers. We've been kind of like, because I don't use it that often, I really want to push it this year to make sure we have like maybe 100,000 subscribers. It'd be really cool to get like another silver play button, because I've got, you can't see it on the wall here, but I have a silver play button here that I got from my other channel years ago. So I really want to get a new one that's like the new style of the silver one. But anyway, yeah, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And you know, I can't even speak. The bush atelier. Start the video. What's the weirdest habit you have that you think no one else does? Now, I don't think no one else does this. I know that people do, but it's still an odd habit that's not the most common. I was actually explaining this to my friends the other day, that it can be a blessing and a curse for videos and what I do. And like my friends in itself, it's like not an issue at all. And I actually really like it, even though it can be quite annoying sometimes. With ADHD and neurodivergence and all this kind of stuff, my mind is going at a mile a minute. Like it's constantly thinking and doing things, but sometimes I can be overthinking. But one thing that I have, if I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm talking to them, we're just having a normal conversation. If at any point in that conversation, the other person, if they say something that triggers some kind of memory, movie quote, a lot of it's Simpsons related, even songs. If they say a lyric from a song, even if it's not, they're not actually trying to say it, they're just talking about going to the park and they happen to say a word in a specific tone. They say a phrase that happens to be in this movie I've watched. I will just shout out that phrase. And I don't know what it is. My mind just suddenly goes, you have to scream this thing at the person as top of your lungs. So the amount of times, we were literally playing the other day, we were playing Fable on Twitch. And one of the characters is called Belinda. And it was just from the side, all I could hear from the side was, Belinda, come here. Within just hearing Belinda, I just nowhere. I just went, oh, Belinda, girls! And that is just how my brain just suddenly works. For videos and for Twitch, as you notice when I do things in videos, I'm just talking and all of a sudden I'll just scream out some phrase. It's because a memory has been triggered in my mind. And apparently it's a common thing with people with ADHD. When I talk to someone who's brand new, whether that's a business call or that's talking to someone I've only just met, I have to really fight difficult to not shout at this person or interrupt them, because they'd be like, what the hell are you doing? So that's probably my favorite thing, but it's also kind of my least favorite thing, because it can be annoying, but it could also be like a blessing, because I really like, again, for videos and presenting things, it's great because it makes funny jokes. I can say things that suddenly, you know, it's great. And with friends, we laugh about it and stuff. How do I feel about metal music? I don't. I don't like metal music. It's not my thing. Although I do like Dragula by Rob Zombie and Living Dead Girl. Annoyingly, because he's a scum now, I'm like, oh, I can't listen to it. But I actually really liked Marilyn Manson's version of Sweet Dreams and Made of This. Obviously, let's not now. Sometimes I might find a song I like, but as a whole, it's not what I listen to. If people don't know I'll just say it now, some people do. I have a few different pools of music I really, really love. My all-time favorite of all time will be trance music from the late 90s to up to like the mid noughties, like the real Y2K era of trance music is my favorite of all time. If you could ask me, what party do you want to go to? And you give me I will go to that one straight away. I'm really into hands up music, very, very sort of German. There's a few other countries like Italo Brothers are from Italy and stuff. It's a very European style of dance music. It originally started with Eurodance, and then Eurodance kind of like broke off into different genres. And one of them was hands up. And I love hands up music. So Timo, Cascada, Yenzo, Kindervator, Kansas. There's so many of these like early sort of like 2000s. Special D. I'm really into UK and happy hardcore as well. I also really love Dutch hardcore. I'm really into Gabba and like hardcore. So I'm going to DEF CON this year. I cannot wait. I love terrorcore, speedcore. I feel like a lot of my music is very linked to things like death metal and everything, but it's like the dance music version. Anger Fist, The Player, Neophyte, or loads of Evil Activities. I love all that stuff. So those are the kind of pools of genre of music I really listen to. And then sometimes I get into like, there's other ones I really love, like Empire of the Sun. I really love Empire of the Sun, one of my favorite bands ever. Absolutely love their music. Y2K music in general as well. So a lot of like the pop stuff that was in Y2K era, I really like that as well because it was so much more varied. Now pop music has a sound. Back then pop music was popular music. Pop music nowadays has a sound, whereas it didn't before. It was kind of a mix of genres. And I really love 2000s house music. So a lot of the like I'm out of touch, Call on Me, all that sort of era of house music I really love because it was all in my teenage years. So that's the pools of music I listen to. What inspired you to decide to join the online community such as YouTube, etc.? The thing is, I think a lot of people don't realize that I started YouTube in 2008. I've been doing it now since 2008. What was that, 16 years? So this is my 17th? Is that 17? Maths? 17 years. It's really difficult to really explain to people what made you start doing it when it was so different back then. It wasn't like, it was just kind of like it was a completely different world. And you may have been like growing up watching it, but as an adult being in that world, like as a young adult, I should say, because I started when I was 18, it was it's so difficult to explain to you what the online space was like back in 2008 and what people did, what people said. I just started it because I was already filming my life. Me and my friend Hannah. I'm actually gonna do an entire video about my journey on YouTube. I've been just for ages, but to cut a tiny, like a long story short, me and my friend Hannah from high school, she's been one of my longest friends I've had, and we were already kind of like filming our life. We were vlogging before vlogging was a thing. Literally, we would hold the camera up and walk around school, doing our day, going bowling, doing the cinema, going town, like, and she would come over my house, I'd go over her house, and we were like vlogging, but we were just like vlogging for us, and we would just put it on our computer. We were talking to an audience of people who didn't exist. When YouTube started to become a little bit more accessible to be able to put things on, we were just like, shall we just do videos on the internet? We're kind of already doing it. And we were quite different and very shy at the beginning. It just sort of stuck. And of course, then I discovered a lot of LGBT YouTubers. And again, the pool was very short back then. So things like Chris Crocker, Love B. Scott, William Sled, What the Buck. I'm technically an OG LGBT influencer, but I was so tiny when I began. Like, there were already big enough people that they would seem to be like, you don't even say big enough, they were like 20,000 subscribers, which again, in today's standard, that's like nothing, but it just kind of spurred me on. And then when YouTube became like a job that you could do in like 2010 time, it kind of became in the zeitgeist. 2009, I think the first ever person was. I think What the Buck was one of the first people to ever make this a job in 2009. And when that started to go into your mind, it was like, oh, maybe we could, that'll be fun. And this was like in the dawn of like MySpace era and Bebo, where it was like everyone was online, everyone's putting all the stuff online. It was very exciting to be online. It was so exciting back then because it was so new. So the idea of us sharing our lives on YouTube didn't feel weird at all because it was like everyone was kind of like fascinated with the new technology and what we could do back then. Yeah, it just kind of stuck. Is there any body modification / tattoo style that you've considered but would never actually get done? I absolutely love traditional and neo-traditional tattoos. That's how I absolutely love how they look. The solid sort of like bold lines with the bold colors. Like I love that so much. I'm more neo-traditional because they incorporate a lot more colors than what the normal traditional is. And I love it when like people take pop culture references, video games, movies, and turn them into traditional tattoos. I've seen ones of like Pokemon before where they've taken Pokemon characters and made them traditional, or like Simpsons characters, or even like things like Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and stuff. I love that. Are there any characters you'd want to get tattooed but just don't have the space anymore? I'm not gonna lie, it was very difficult to narrow down everything because there is a limited amount of space. And of course, you don't want to overload it where everything then becomes very small because then they don't age as well. So any sort of like portrait tattoos that are like really small, they're gonna look shit. Unfortunately, your skin isn't paper and your skin ages, and as the ink disperses and like starts to change over the years, any details you have, if it's something really small, it will just look like a blur and a blob. So these sort of like micro-realism tattoo artists, they're kind of doing you a disservice because if you're getting a portrait that's like this big on your arm, that is a short-term tattoo that's going to leave a mark for the rest of your life. The way that it looks won't last very long, unfortunately. I didn't want to overload myself too much where everything was so crammed in that it had to be smaller, so they didn't age very well. So trying to cut everything down was very difficult. And of course, when it came to to video games, I could have like 10 things from one video game if I really wanted to, because I love so much about it. I could have so many Super Smash Bros. Characters if I wanted to. I really would love to, but I just can't fit it all in. And like, I love all the Mario, like so much Mario stuff. I would just be covered in it, but like I had to narrow it down. So I got a Waluigi here and I put a Shy Guy on my stomach. So I was like, let's put my ultimate favorite characters from these things. So I had to really cut them down. Same with Street Fighter. I've got Ryu here on my chest, but I would love if I could put an Akuma, and I'd put a Blanca as well. There'd be so many things. Same with Tekken. I wish I could put more Tekken and Soul Calibur characters on me, but you just have to narrow it down when you come to this, when you want portrait-y kind of cartoon or even anything kind of tattoos, because you don't want to make it too small. So it was very difficult. So I do kind of want to still add a Voldo from Soul Calibur. I think I might tie him in with Raziel from Soul Reaver here, because I've got a lot of space here. So I could probably put both of them. If I cut Raziel's body down and just have more of his head and then put a Voldo underneath it, I can probably fit that in. What's your first video game that you ever played? Jesus Christ. So I've been playing video games since I was literally like 3 years old. I couldn't tell you the very first game. I mean, some of the earliest gaming memories I have, the original Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System, which is the one before the Sega Genesis, Mega Drive. I don't know what was it called the Famicom in Japan? Or was that a different console? No, the Famicom was the Nintendo. I think the Master System was called something different outside, the same way that Mega Drive was. But the Sega Master System, I remember playing the original Sonic the Hedgehog game with like the hand glide. I think it's number 2, but the hand gliding and like the little mine cart that you went down. Like the Sonic the Hedgehog games on the Master System were actually really good. I also remember playing Alex Kidd, the very, very original one. That was on the original Master System. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, or in Japan it's called Puyo Puyo. Still one of my favorite games. I absolutely love it, which is what Carbuncle is from, who's on my side. The little 8-bit character here, he's the sort of like commentator, narrator, referee person from Mean Bean Machine. I think they're some of my first ones I remember playing. We did have a Nintendo as well, and I remember playing Super Mario 3. I think that was the first one I played, because you got to remember a lot of this stuff. Like realistically, by the time I was really old enough to play video games, I should have technically really been playing like the PS1. The Mega Drive and Master System are kind of before, they were out before I was even born, but back in those days, people didn't necessarily have to get the newest things. It was very normal for people to kind of be playing old consoles back then. Whereas nowadays, it's very normal to be like, the new console's out, buy everything else. So we were still playing the Mega Drive and Master System. And like things like Amiga, playing Dizzy the Egg on Amiga. Like I loved Dizzy. It was so fun. This little stupid egg. And you'd have to solve puzzles and things and get the key over here to go. Like I loved Dizzy. It was so much fun. And things like Elephant Antics and the New Zealand Story. But they're some of my earliest memories of gaming. Will I ever be visiting the US anytime soon? So I really want... It's annoying because it's in Florida, and Florida's a bit of a weird... I mean, the whole America's a bit of a mess now anyway, so is it so bad to go to Florida compared to everything else? I really want to go to Disneyland in Florida. I've been to the one in LA. I've been to Paris. I'm going to be going to Tokyo Disney when I go to Japan. I really want to go to Disney. Is it Disney World? Disney World with Epcot and all that stuff in Florida. I know Florida's a bit of a funny one at the moment, but like, again, like Trump's now the leader of the whole country. So, I mean, you know, I feel like everyone's kind of off limits. I don't know. I want to go to like more of the Six Flags as well. Like I love theme parks. I would only really go to America now for those kind of things. I feel like America is, well, United States at least, a bit of a shit show to be honest, and it does scare me a little bit. I kind of feel like if I go to there, it's always to go to a theme park or some kind of event, not necessarily to go to America. Although I do want to go to Salem around Halloween. Me and Callum have always said to each other that we really want to do Salem at Halloween and just like actually have like an actual American Halloween, because in the UK we don't really do it, and both of us love Halloween. Like you go down streets and like maybe 1 or 2 shops are just like decorated. 1 or 2 houses might be decorated, but even now after all these years, it's just never really been a huge thing here in the UK. I can't speak for the north of UK or whatever, but like at least where I'm from, I've in from Devon, London, and now Brighton. Even Brighton, there wasn't really much going around here last October. I just really want to experience like an actual Halloween where people really go go all out for it. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not filming? So I think one of the main things I do outside of YouTube work is video gaming. I'm a huge video game nerd. I love playing video games, hence why like basically like 90% of my body is now filled, except for this arm. Everything else is video game related. Now that I live in Brighton, I do tend to love to go down by the seaside with some friends. Like I've got a few friends who live in Brighton and lots of our friends come down. So we always go to like the pier. I love going to arcades. I'm still one of those sort of old school people that love to go to like the bowling alleys and go to arcades. I'll always be I think that's going to be part of my DNA now forever. Other things I really love doing. I love making music and doing music stuff. I've always been very musically driven. As you can see, there's like loads of CDs here. I'm still very like physical media. So I still collect and buy physical media. I love to get the movies. I'm really into horror films. I watch a lot of horror movies and listen to a lot of music. I also love creating music. It's been a long time since I've made a song. If you've been following me for a while, you knew that I used to like make 2 or 3 songs a year. Now, I wasn't trying to be a singer. It was just a completely like passion. Oh my God. I just went like this. I just whacked my other microphone onto the floor. Jesus Christ. I hope it's not broken. Jesus. God, Jesus Christ. I hope it's okay. See, I used to frequently make hands up music. I used to make hands up remix covers of things. I love doing that. It just takes up so much time. And because YouTube is such a huge part of my job now, I just don't have as much time to do that because that's real commitment. Playing a video game is really quick and just turn it on and go. When you're making music, there's a lot more to it. So I haven't done one for a long time. I do technically have a song that I've made. I just need to put the vocals on it. Getting around to doing that. I will put that on this channel eventually. If anyone knows Above and Beyond, the housey trance group, they had a song called Fly to New York. I did about an inversion of it, made it into sort of trancey hands up. Making music is a big thing as well. I just love music. I'm such a huge, I don't know if it's to do with like my ADHD and stuff, but like I'm so obsessed with music to a stage where like I don't have a single part of the day where there's not music playing constantly, and it really affects my mood. Will there ever be another snack tasting video with Callum? So no. I really enjoyed doing the snack tasting things I did with Callum, but I did so many that it kind of felt like I was kind of just eating the same stuff. I will go and do more stuff, but it will be more short form content, so shorts and reels and stuff. That kind of content as well on YouTube is kind of dead. Maybe it's like a silly little bonus video for this channel, maybe. My candy tasting journey started in 2012 and I stopped, 2023. So we did it for 11 years. Like and I feel like I've done every single snack box imaginable. How does it feel to be so effing iconic? Me and my boyfriend both adore you. Keep squatting, but Jesus, thank you. Love to you and your boyfriend. Just someone has to do it. There are a lot of questions here regarding piercings and what my piercing journey is going to be. You might have watched my last hate comment video. I am no longer involved with my old body piercer. That does obviously mean I don't have a body piercer. However, my tattoo artist, Hyro, who does all my cartoon stuff, he's also a trained body piercer. So if I ever do get a piercing, he will be the person I go to from now on. I would like to fill in some of these. There's like a gap here that I'd like to fill in. There's a few little gaps in my ears that I want to fill in. But honestly, I've had so many piercings over the years that like I'm kind of happy with how much I've got and what I have got. What advice would you give to an American who wants to move to Europe? Well, first of all, remember that Europe isn't a country, so we are very different. I think this is one of those things that a lot of European people, maybe not annoyed's a strong word, but it's one of those things that it's like, remember that like Europe is very different to each other. The UK is like an enigma in itself. Like nothing else around the world is like the UK. The UK culture and what we do and what we say is so, and it can vary. Like the south of the UK and the north are still very different in itself. If I was to give you advice to move to the north of England, I would give you different advice than what it would be if I was to give to move to like London. Even just within our own country, we have so much variety of culture, slang words and accents and how people, like northerners are way more friendly than southerners. I feel like I'm a kind of mix between the north, like when it comes to things like music and partying, the north, you go to like Newcastle or Scotland or even Manchester, like you'll have, at least for the cater to the kind of music I like, they go way hard with partying. They're a lot more exciting. They have a lot more fun, if I'm honest. I love this. I love the stuff that we do down here. The South people are a bit soft when it comes to the kind of music and what I like. All of my stuff when it comes to hardcore music doesn't happen down here really. We might get like an odd event now and then, but most of this stuff happens up the north. They're good for really parties. If you want to go for a good like hard rave party, the north is the best way to go. Where you want to go to more like drum and bass or like jungle or rap, all that stuff is a lot more southern. The northerners Northerners are a lot more friendly when it comes to talking to strangers, whereas the Southerners are definitely a lot more like, don't talk to me. I am a little bit more of like keeping myself to myself when it comes to public life, when it comes to going out in public. Of course, if you ever see me in the street, you can say hello to me, but like I won't really talk to strangers if I don't have to. So even in the UK, they're so different. So, and then our culture is very different to the French culture or Spanish culture or Italy. When you want to move to Europe, you have to be more specific. And I cannot say this enough to Americans. Europe is not one place. It is a collection of so many different cultures, especially if you go to things like Eastern Europe, where it's completely different. Like it changes again. So just keep that in mind. So I can't really give you advice because I don't know where you're moving to. How do you heal your tattoos and what are your recommendations around it? So tattoo healing is actually a very difficult thing to pinpoint for you specifically, because when it comes to piercings, you just clean them and leave it alone and that's it. With tattoos, because it involves a lot of your own skin type, your own skin textures, how your body heals, allergies to certain things, or your kind of response to creams and balms. There's so many different tattoo aftercare products and so many different ways to do it. It's very difficult to say what's best for you or what might help you. So when I say what I'm going to say, this works for me and my skin. First of all, I would say, if you're new to tattoos, listen to your tattoo artist when they tell you to do it. Listen to their aftercare because they will know what's going to be, you know, what works for them or whatever, and they'll give you the best result. I dry heal my tattoos, which I know is one of those things that people go, oh, dry healing. My skin is very sensitive and the constant washing and creaming from the very start makes me break out. My skin hates it. So what I find is after getting tattooed, for the first 2 days, I just wash it in the morning and evening and just leave it. I don't put creams, I don't put balms, I don't put anything on, I just leave it. And then on day 3, when all the oozy and gunkiness has kind of stopped, I then wash it and moisturize with, it's not here, I've got H2 Ocean tattoo aftercare, and I've also got another one called, like, it's called the tattoo cream. It's like in a white bottle with like a red top. But that's how I have found my tattoos to heal really quickly. Also, when it comes to the itching process, if it is really itchy, I will sometimes take antihistamines. I have hay fever in the like springtime and like summer, so I have hay fever tablets all the time with me. So if it ever gets really, really itchy, I take those Pirites, they're called Pirites tablets, and it just really stops the itching, which is amazing. Do I like Parma violets? Controversial. I actually don't mind them. If they're on, like, if I'm in like a selection box or something, I will eat them, but I would never choose to eat Parma violets. Essentially, I don't know why they're like how well known they are like around the world, but in the UK we have these like sweets called the Parma violets, like these, and they're like a floral taste. They have like a floral taste. It does taste, some people say it tastes like medicine. There's definitely, it's an acquired taste. This is like the Marmite of the sweet variety. It's like old women sweets when people think about Parma violets. So like old women sweets. I don't mind them, but I wouldn't choose to eat them if I didn't have to. Gosh, how do you feel about mating new gay guys from Brighton? After 4+ years I'm struggling here, I am the wrong person to ask. I do not leave my house. I was very fortunate that I did already have a lot of friends here in Brighton already. One of the reasons why I chose Brighton was because when I moved out of London with Luxaria and Callum moving away, I was like, I really need to move near friends. Although I'm kind of introverted in a way of like, I do like to be at home. I'm like an introverted extrovert, is that the right round? One of the way rounds, where like I love being around people if I know them. I'm not really into like huge busy crowds if it's just like a load of random people, except for weirdly, I don't seem to get affected when I go to parties or like events like club nights or things. When it's to do with music, I talked about music earlier on. Music has a real effect on my body. I can be around thousands of people, and if I'm in a place that's playing like trance music from the 2000s or, you know, hardcore music or something, or happy hardcore, UK, Dutch hardcore, all this stuff, something just happens to me and it's like no one else is there and I just like fully go into this world, like I have to take an ecstasy or something. Whenever I go to like events, the amount of people that come over to me and ask me if I have drugs on me or if I know I can get them, purely based on the fact that I am so in the zone, it looks like I'm on drugs. I just music does something to my soul. So like that doesn't annoy me being around loads of people, but like in general, I'm a very introverted person when it comes to being around strangers. And I was very fortunate that had a lot of friends in Brighton already. So I've not really met anyone new. So I'm not the best person to ask that, if I'm honest, because I don't know. Because luckily enough, I had people who are already. I'm terrible at meeting people. I'm so bad at making new friends. And as an adult, it is normally very difficult unless you sort of meet loads of people through your work. Is there like an app that's like Grindr or Tinder or something, but for friends. Surely there has to be like a friend version of these apps where you go on to make friends rather than trying to hook up with people. There has to be, right? So there's a lot of questions here, but two things. First of all, how has it been like living on my own and living in Brighton? Now I'm going to be doing in April, because it'll be an official year, I'm going to be doing like a where am I now? What's going on in my life? I'm going to do like an actual Brighton video for this channel. So I won't answer that question now because I'm going to do that at the start of April when it hits a year. So I'm going to just leave that one. When it comes to the cats are doing wonderful. Is Lingo there? Yeah, Lingo is here. You can kind of see the little white fluff bum there. I'm not going to lie, today's actually been really difficult. I don't know why Globex has decided that today is going to be chaos day. I'm sure other people who've got cats will be able to relate. And, you know, if you've got children, I didn't realize how much of a, like, how likely they're close some of these cats can be to actual children. Today, he's just decided that he's going to do everything that's like annoying and everything I don't want him to do. He's normally quite well behaved. Other than the excessive meowing, he's not like actually badly behaved. He doesn't scratch the sofa. He doesn't scratch the carpet. He's not like pissing anywhere. He's never once had an accident. He's actually really well behaved as a cat. Oh, there's a person at my door apparently. Oh, I got a delivery. Hang on. I'm so excited. Now, so I'm not someone who really cares that much about fashion brands or clothes or anything. Hence why I always wear like ludicrous clothing. So I'm very excited because my 1 year sort of around big purchase is I buy a load of new clothes from like my graphic tee sites. And I just got myself some more Simpsons nonsense, because of course I've got myself some more Simpsons nonsense. So I've got a tank top that says, "We sell forbidden objects where men fear to tread." I got a "Who Could Forget Dear Rat Boy." Probably one of my favorite ones is a tie-dye Mr. Sparkle. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, I love that. Nightmare on Elm Street one of Willy, because he turns into Freddy Krueger in one of the Halloween specials. I've got this really cool one of Bart Simpson. It's like a purple with like a really cool psychedelic Bart Simpson. Another one of the Bone Storm ones, like a new one. This is a slightly different design, but my one's starting to get a bit washed out, so I wanted another one. And the monorail. Anyway, that was a nice little delivery. I was expecting that. It's from America, so it takes ages to get here. So like, flipping out. They're from a place called T Public, by the way. That's what I tend to use for my sort of graphic t-shirts, because I know I'll get loads of questions. T Public. And I just search for Simpsons things on there. Anyway, we're talking about the cats. Yeah, so I've discovered so a few little things since my last video about Globex mainly. Lingo's wonderful. You know, there's not really loads of updates about her. She's not really changed that much. She's just still settling in, really. She got zoomies for the first time the other day, which I was like, oh, she must be like still settling in properly because she's getting zoomies. But what I have found about Globex is I don't want to stop giving him treats. He's not, again, the cats aren't majorly food driven anyway, but the one thing they do love is dreamies, the treats, the dreamy treats. They're obsessed with them. And what I found recently is he has started sitting outside the cupboard door where they're kept, clawing at the door, trying to like get into it and like meowing excessively, like wanting me to give him treats, which has got quite annoying. So I had to like remove all of it from that cupboard today. I opened the cupboard door so he looks in there, so there's nothing in there. And I'm gonna have to like, I don't want to stop giving him treats because I feel bad being like, well, you just don't get treats anymore, because I can't, that's mean. I'd have to now sort of like try to get them out. I've got them in a different cupboard now. I'm saying as if like he can hear me. I've got them in a different cupboard and I'm going to be giving them to him a little bit more, I guess, strategically. So he's doesn't know where they are and they just kind of appear. So he doesn't like just sort of sit outside a cupboard meowing. He's one of these cats that I've discovered that no matter what, like if I give him anything new, even toy wise, like I got him like a little wind up mouse the other day. And because it's a toy that like does something kind of on its own, if it's not doing that thing, he will just like obsessively meow about it. And it's like, I don't want to stop giving you these kind of fun toys because like it's fun and I'm glad that he's happy, but I wish he could be like, it doesn't need to be doing that thing constantly. You have so many things that you can do. And again, it's a tricky one. He's been the most complicated cat that I've ever had to encounter. Lingo, I'm not playing, oh, she's over here now. I'm not playing favorites with my cats, but Lingo is like the most easygoing cat I have ever experienced. She's a lap cat. She'll love to come and sit on you. She loves a good snooze in the sun. She'll play. I do play with her with the toys and stuff, and then she'll come and sit on my lap and like be fine. And she only really meows when she actually wants something. And I also changed their feeding time to mid. I used to give them all their food in the morning when I would have my breakfast. But what I was finding is as soon as it would get light, whether that's midsummer when it gets light at like 4:30, 5 a.m. or winter, whenever the sun would start to come up or get a little bit light, he would then just start obsessively meowing. So it's like food, I can have some food, which is so stupid because I'd put down wet food and he would go, what? And just walk away. It's treats. That's what it is. It's all to do with treats and all this feed. So what I've done now is I start filling up all of his bowls and giving him his food in midday, so he doesn't wake me up at 5 a.m. meowing because he thinks it's like morning time for treats and food. What's my favorite Simpsons episode? Halloween Special 1, the very first Halloween special that came out in 1990. It was in season 2. That is my favorite episode of all time. Probably my most watched episode of all time. I've always, hence why like my arm is just full of Halloween special stuff. Like the Halloween special episodes of Simpsons were always my favorite. I'm sure they were for most people as well. Like I love the Halloween special. And number 1, I don't know what it is specifically, because I don't think that was probably I mean, it's hard to remember back when I would have been that young, but I don't remember exactly what the first one was I watched, but the Bad Dream House story, which was, I'm assuming it was meant to be the Amityville horror. I just love, hence why I've got the Bad Dream House kind of behind Ned Flanders up here. The whole house is around here. Obviously Bart the Raven. I've got Bart the Raven here on my like sort of shoulder chest. Obviously I've got the alien Kankodos on the front here, yeah, when they first appeared. I just love it. And I really love the Raven story at the end, the James L. Jones like narrating it, that little story. My dad really loved it as well. My dad was really into poetry. He was like a published poet and shit back in like the 90s. And I think maybe I have a bit of connection to that episode because he really loved the Raven section of Halloween Special 1 because he was into poetry. And I think maybe that's probably why I've got that bit of a connection, because I really love that Raven storyline done in the Simpsons way. If you ask your Simpsons questions, it's the worst one to ask me because I will sit here for hours and hours and hours talking about the Simpsons. Another question I seem to be getting a lot here is, am I going to get another cat? No, 2 is enough for me. I do still want to get a Shiba Inu dog. I'm only going to get a dog when I don't have to work as much. Maybe if I had like a partner or something, it'd be easier because it'd be easier to look after the dog, but dogs need so much more attention than what cats do. It would be cruel if I had a dog because I just don't have the time to give the dog the amount of attention, especially Shiba Inu because they have a very stubborn and quite an intense personality. Have you kept in touch with any of your Gays of the Week crew? So I've already answered it. So in 2011, I joined a LGBT collaboration channel on YouTube. Back in the day, collab channels were a really big thing where it was normally 5 people, all had a day of the week, and you would do themes, and each week you would do a video each regarding that theme. It was a huge thing back in early YouTube, and I was on. It was one of the biggest ones. It was called Gays of the Week. I can't say that I've necessarily kept majorly in touch with a lot of them. Most of them, except for Miles, all of them don't do YouTube anymore. Ryan James Yezik, who was the one who kind of started all that channel, he manages the Old Gays. Have you seen there's like a channel called the Old Gays, and it's these like old gay guys doing like fun things, and you would have seen them. He manages that channel. He kind of still does media stuff, just kind of off camera. I don't tend to really talk to them very often. I sometimes comment on Miles J's like Instagram, and we would reply to some of the tweets and stuff. Our relationship altogether was still relatively distant anyway because we all lived in different parts of the world. We never really saw each other. I did meet Miles, and we hung out a couple times in LA. When we finished the channel, I never anticipated that we were suddenly still going to be like hanging out and stuff because we never did that to begin with. There's no like negative energy towards any of us. We all got on. There was no like bad ending to the channel. It just ran its course. Brian and Daniel aren't together anymore. They broke up a long time ago. I was never really that close with them anyway, although they were the ones that gave me the rainbow pig hat that I used to see in my videos all the time. We did like a secret Santa and we all sent each other like gifts. This rainbow pig hat that was always in my videos and things, that was from them. This is a question here. How are you doing? Well, it's a mixed batch. I'm very happy. Like I am very happy. I've just kind of, hence why all the windows are open. I don't think I've really spoke about this, but I do suffer quite badly with SAD, which is all SADS. Well, SADS is like a different thing about infant death, which is awful, but like SADS also is a seasonal depressive disorder. Essentially, I'm not going to go all down what it is. Essentially, the dumbest way possible to say it, you get sad in the winter. And living in the UK, we have 3 months non-stop of just cold, darkness, grey skies, wet darkness for like 3 months. And this year hit me really badly. I don't really know why. Over the Christmas period, like the start of sort of November to like most of January, I have had a really hard time. If people don't like it's kind of hard to explain like types of depression and things to people, like if you've never experienced it, because a lot of the time you're kind of like the sadness feeling you have, like there's no real reason for it. You kind of just feel sad, and it can also like manifest itself in other ways where like you're lethargic, or you don't want to leave the bed, or you don't want to do things. Like there are lots of different things that keep you in that sort of perpetual sort of I guess, down spiral, or sort of, you know, you can overeat. You might, you know, you neglect your health. Sometimes you feel less inclined to do things. Like it's very difficult to kind of explain what it is. And it's just your brain being like, oh, naughty, not today, girls. But this year hit me quite badly. And I don't know if it's to do with age. Maybe it gets worse when it gets older. Unfortunately, it does run in my family. My sister has depression. My grandmother had SADS specifically really bad. She even had one of those like funny lights. They sometimes give you like I can't remember exactly, I don't know the whole terms and everything, but it's like this big box light that she was sitting in front of that beamed like, I guess, fake sunlight onto her. I don't know how it all works, but apparently it's meant to like trick the brain into, I don't know if it actually had like UV in it or something that kind of gave that. I can't really remember, but she sat in the wintertime. She would have this like funny little light that she would like blare onto her when she would sit in the living room watching things or knitting or whatever, because it would like help. So I think maybe next year, if it's anything like it was this year, I might actually go and I might seek out some kind of actual help, because yeah, it was really bad. And I don't know if it's because so much has changed in this year, it kind of affected it more, because this past year since moving has been incredibly stressful. Obviously moving's bad, and then obviously having to do up this house and doing everything. Like I've just had so much going on that I feel it might have affected it. So I've kind of started to come out of it now. We've started to get a bit, it sounds stupid to be like, oh, you're people just say, oh, grow up, or like get, stop feeling sad, or grow, but like it's hard to explain to someone if you don't have it, like just be quiet. Now that it's starting to act, you can see how bright it is outside. It's really starting to change now, the weather, and the sun's starting to be out for more. We're getting more than 3 hours of daylight in the day now. So my mood and everything has really started to pick up, and I've started to kind of want to do things. It happens every year, unfortunately. But I will say this winter period has been exceptionally bad. Mental health is a very strange thing that if you don't know, it really makes people think differently about you. Someone says, do you drink alcohol? What do you eat? What's your diet? Is it unhealthy, healthy, etc.? So I am a mix of both. So I don't really drink alcohol. So when it comes to substances and like drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff, I don't really do any of it. When it comes to drugs, nothing. I mean, I have got high off weed sometimes a few times, but like it's not something I really do. Like I've never been the kind of person that will socially drink. Whenever I drank alcohol, it's always if I'm going to go out clubbing or partying. It's never been a thing of like I come home from work and I drink some wine or drink a beer, or I go to the pub with someone and drink a couple of drinks and go home, or we go out for meals and I have a few cocktails, mainly because I just don't feel like I need it. I also don't like hangovers. Now that I'm older, I get 2-day hangovers if I do drink. The feeling of being drunk and having in that moment is not outweighing the after effects. As I always say about like dangerous things you do about piercings and modifications, does the end result outweigh the risk or the pain or anything that might happen here? And I feel this way about drinking. And so the fun I have when I'm a bit merry or drunk, I would say, doesn't outweigh the hangover. So now if I do go out clubbing, I'll only have a little bit to give me a tiny buzz. But I feel like, as I said about music does something to my soul that I don't really need it. When it comes to my diet, I'm a mix of both. I do have like, I try my best to have Huel stuff because, I'm believing the packaging, but this, has everything you need. It's like balanced diets and meal. It has all the vitamins and minerals, everything you need. And I have one of these a day. I try to eat as much protein as I can because I go to the gym and stuff. So I do feel like I live a somewhat healthy lifestyle. I don't limit myself. Like when it comes to dating, people always say to me, like, what's a deal breaker? A big deal breaker for me with dating someone is like one of those obsessive gym bunny people. Like I wouldn't really date anyone who's into like steroids and everything, but even just like obsessive people who are going to the gym all the time, looking like, monitoring every single thing that goes into their body. Like that's too much for me. Like if I suddenly have a bad day, or even just in general, like if I'm suddenly going, I really want a Domino's pizza, I want to be able to have it with you and not be like, oh, I can't eat it today. No, you do on your own. Like I don't want to have to constantly do all this stuff on my own. I want to be able to share it with my partner. And I feel like if someone's obsessively looking at what they're eating with those kind of things, I just couldn't deal with that. So I do treat myself to take out some things, but I do make sure that I still eat somewhat healthy and keep myself healthy. I drink a lot of water. I feel like I live a somewhat healthy lifestyle with the add-on fun. So I'm never going to have like 6-pack abs because I don't stop. No, like I don't lower my body fat to that level. I don't know. I feel like I have a good balance. I don't really know about nutrition, that to be fair, but I do feel like I eat well. Like I literally have an Eden bag of carrots here. Like my snacks are literally carrot sticks. So I feel like I do somewhat eat healthy. I would say my worst habit is caffeine. I definitely have too much caffeine. That's something that I do need to monitor a bit more. But I feel like other than caffeine, I don't feel like I do anything really that bad. How do you overcome your insecurities in the teen years if you had them? Still struggling with mine. This is the thing. I think I don't know how old this person is. Again, it's one of these things it's really difficult to sometimes relate to what it must be like nowadays to be a teenager to when I was, because of course the world is so different. Social media was completely new and exciting and brand new, and people, it was less, there were hateful people, but it was definitely less of an intense thing to be like, you have to get this many things and you're comparing yourself to other people, because it was all brand new when I was a teenager, and people didn't have the obsession and addiction they do to it now. Obviously, your question kind of says your insecurities from your teen years, if you had them, still struggling with mine. So I don't know if you've kind of gone past it and you're now an adult, because this is gonna get dark, because I had so much shit go on in my childhood. You know, my dad died, then my mum was like an absolute mess and all the shit that she traumatized us with, then obviously moving with my grandparents, and that was difficult as well, and then my grandma getting cancer and dying, and then my grandma being diagnosed with Parkinson's, and there was so much stuff that was happening in such quick succession in my early life that it kind of just made me go, this is so pathetic. Like, all of the stuff that I'm worrying about is so trivial. And I think because I went through all of this shit, it just made me reevaluate life, which is why I'm so, you see me now and I'm so open about who I am and what I'm like as a person, and I'm so like, I just don't give a shit what people think about me, because I had so much shit happen to me that it just makes you reevaluate life. Although I haven't had a near-death experience, it feels like I've had a death experience where it's made me go, life is too short to give a shit about these little things, because most of the time when people have insecurities about things in school, it's always very trivial. It's never really stuff that's really based in any real logic. Mine was being gay, but being gay is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, some people about like whether they're too fat or too thin, or their nose shape or their eye shape, or all of these things in the grand scheme of things is really trivial, unless something is like really affecting your health. I always hated my nose growing up. I've got a big nose. My whole family's got big noses. I've always had a big nose. Now I don't give a shit. I'm like, okay, this is just my body. I can't, yes, I could go get a nose job, but I shouldn't have to do that. It's just like you kind of grow out of. And I think also you need to surround yourself with people who are very supportive of you. Don't have competition friends who are always in competition with you. Don't have bitchy friends. Like, it's always better to be on your own than to be with friends who are just like toxic. Like, that's going to make you feel way worse than feeling a bit lonely sometimes, because you can make new friends. Okay. Do you know what? Shall we do this? Shall we do this? Shall I do this? Shall we do this? So, do you still identify as non-binary, or did the ship sail after that video you made way back? I said ask me anything. I did say I wasn't really going to discuss this kind of stuff anymore since that video. So let's just do a final little roundup of this whole identity saga. For new people, if you don't know this, back in 2015, 16, 17 was kind of like the height of it, I guess. I used to go by the term of non-binary. That term at the time, I felt like really fitted who I was as a person. I was self-discovery. Like, self-discovery is a thing that changes and adapts over time. Some people change, and that's fine. Change is actually a really good thing. And self-development and what people, you know, identify as, whether that's attraction, their own self-identity. My identity when it comes to gender it's been a bit tumultuous, I would have to say. At the time, those labels fitted how I felt. I do still consider myself at least somewhat on the sort of androgynous spectrum. I just tend to not talk about it anymore. For when I first came out, when I first said that I was non-binary, I said gender fluid to begin with, but I kind of just, you know, genderqueer, gender fluid was what my terms were. It was a very interesting time in the internet and what was going on, because it was still, I'm not saying it was a new thing, but in the internet zeitgeist, that was when these kind of terms started to become more of like a thing that people were hearing. It was definitely like a new thing on the internet zeitgeist, because it was all kind of at the era of the SJWs and all this kind of shit, and the right wing were going nuts on these women. And it all kind of tied together with these kind of like insane sort of politics, and because it was the sort of rise of, you know, Donald Trump and his like insanity that he would spew. And so it was a very tumultuous time to be on the internet, and it was very difficult for women and LGBT people and minorities, because it was just very interesting. It was just a very messy time in that era as well. I was one of the only, at least somewhat sizable people on the internet who also identified with a non-binary identity. I had so much hatred towards me from two different sets of community. A lot of the left-wing people, I mean, I just be very, very, very clear. I am left-wing. I'm a liberal. I'm very left-wing. Like, this isn't I'm going right. So I'm going to make it very clear. When it comes to like the far left, I had a lot of people in that community who were being quite nasty to me, because I wasn't fitting what they wanted me to be within the online non-binary spectrum, which was very difficult because it was my own community kind of attacking me and telling me that my identity was not right when they're the ones who were saying accept my identity. It was very weird time to be on the internet, being one of the only sort of big faces of the community back then. But then I also had a shit ton of hatred towards me from right-wingers just telling me to literally kill myself all the time. And it was a very difficult time to be on the internet. It was pulling me from both ways, and it was making me actually get quite bad gender dysphoria because people were telling me on one side to change myself like this to look more androgynous. I was being told to get like my Adam's apple removed because it wasn't androgynous enough. People were telling me to like shave my brow. People were telling me to get FFS essentially because I looked too manly to be non-binary. But at the time, I really felt like that specific label fit me. I only felt like I was putting out a positive message of self-expression, and I genuinely used that term as a term that fitted how I felt. So I did make a video all about this back in like 2019. Most of it I still actually do agree with. I think maybe I could have worded things a bit better. When I made that video, I was definitely in a different place, in a different headspace. There was a lot more anger. I was a very hurt person at that time. I wasn't harming anyone. I wasn't, giving out a bad message. I wasn't being an asshole. I wasn't like a Blair White. I wasn't these sort of extreme right-wing people being like, I'm the only one. I was doing nothing but spreading positive message, yet it still wasn't enough. And I don't really know what it's like now, but the community at the time in that world was very jealous. I was shown so many things of people who were my friends who were saying awful things about me on like private Twitters. I had so many people just like showing me stuff being like, just, your friend said this, just, this person said this, and people being nice to you. It was just like, I had to just like take everything off the internet at the time. Even to this day, I just don't really talk about my gender identity because I just feel like no matter what I say or how I feel, people will just get angry with me. I just tend not to talk about it. I'm still very, of course, as always, very pro-trans. I'm very pro-trans rights. I'm not someone who's like restrict healthcare. I'm nothing like any of these, right-wing ex-detransitioners or any of this shit. Like, do I consider myself a detransitioner? Not really. And my gender expression is definitely not as rigid as, say, some other people. Would I say non-binary anymore? No. But I do consider myself at least somewhat on like the androgynous gender spectrum. I just choose not to really discuss it. Oh, hello. Sorry, the cat just jumped up and up. I choose to just not really discuss it because I just feel like no matter what I say or do, it just annoys people. It just upsets people on both sides. One of my friends, Kaylin, recently did a video about losing their hair and how it's affecting their sort of identity and how it makes them feel about their own gender. And one of the things that they said in this video was, and this is brand new, that they were getting comments from people saying that they weren't giving them gender euphoria because of the way they looked, or the way they looked was giving them dysphoria in their own trans identity. Like, commenters were saying that about Kaylin. Where are we as a community when that happened? Like, this is still happening now. Like, it's not for someone else to give you gender euphoria. It's not for someone else to give you, to cure your gender dysphoria. If looking at someone else's expression and how they express themselves, as long as they're not hurting anyone, is giving you problems, that's not their fault. And that's the kind of shit that I had to deal with back in the day, and I was just, I don't know, it's just shit to me, and I just, unfortunately, it's just not really something I want to really be a part of. As I said, I genuinely used a term that fitted what I was feeling at the time. I wasn't lying, I wasn't exploiting, because at that moment in time, that was how I felt, and that was how I identified, and that was something that was in me, and this is what felt right for me. I'm just me. And if you go back and look at the stuff I was doing back then, I also looked very androgynous, not obviously not on every video, but like my everyday, it sounds stupid to say this is what I was doing, but I was wearing eyelashes, like big eyelashes to work. I was very lucky at my work at the time. I was able to look how I wanted. I was wearing high heels and I was coloring my eyebrows into I used to do purple and blue eyebrows, face full of makeup, like very stereotypical things that people say women do. But I feel like I presented quite androgynous a lot of the time. So when people were saying I wasn't looking androgynous enough or this shit, I was like, this is ridiculous. Gender identity and gender expression is so complicated, and it can be so different for every single person that I just feel like sometimes people get too intense on labeling themselves, and it can be really restrictive. Whereas now that I stop labeling myself with things, I feel way more free because I feel like I'm not having to try to fit into boxes. I will always say, just call me he, him, whatever. If someone wants to call me they, them, if someone wants to call call me she, her. You can call me whatever the hell you want. I do not care. Like, it's not important to me. If I want to, you know, wear loads of makeup and go back to an androgynous look at some point in my life, I probably will. I don't know. Who can tell? So although people like to spin the argument like I lied about it or I just decided to stop being non-binary or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, in that video, I probably could have worded things a little bit better. It wasn't like that. And people just want to believe. And I knew that that was going to happen because that was still kind of at the tail end of people still being quite, because by this it was like 2019. So the sort of zeitgeist had changed a tiny bit when it comes to non-binary people. It wasn't so much of a new shocking thing to hear people saying stuff. I knew people were going to just react the way they wanted to react to it and just be like, oh, but you're this and you're that. And that was why I stopped. It was like people just love to determine how other people identify. I will say this is not even just talking about identity. When it comes to politics in general, left-leaning, going to like liberal and like really left-wing people, there's a real problem with us with infighting and wanting to be the best and wanting to be the number one. There is a lot of jealousy. And again, this isn't, I am not talking about trans people or, you know, gender. I'm talking about in general when it comes to politics and life. There is a lot of infighting within left-wing people. Even in politics, we have like 6 different politicians, whereas right-wing people generally just have like 1 or 2. It's so like a lot of right-wing people don't fight amongst themselves because they go, we want to win, so we will just vote for this person because that way we will win. Whereas left-wing people tend to go, well, this person says this, but I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to vote for them. So I'm going to vote for this other person who's not going to win, who says this, and it can sometimes be a bit, I don't want to live in a 2-party system, but at the moment, we are living in a 2-party system because the right wing have like one or 2 people and the left wing have like 8. So I'm not going to pretend that I know the entirety of the American voting system and who else there was, but like so much of the consensus around this election was around Gaza and Israel and stuff, which I completely agree with. I understand a lot of the points that people are making, but like Trump is still way worse. And I'm not saying we should just like, oh, just vote for the lesser of 2 evils. But in America, you have way more of a 2-party system than what we do here. Trump saying he's going to take over Gaza and have it himself. Would Kamala have said that? I don't think so. I just think sometimes the left wing have a real problem with infighting, whereas right wingers don't do it. They just go, we want to win, so we're going to vote for this person. Whereas unless we can fix this infighting, this is just going to be a repeated thing where so many left-wing people just go, and again, this is coming from a left-wing person, it annoys me that's happening. Like, I'm not just like centrist sort of left-leaning, I am a left-wing person. This all stems from wanting to be the best and having to fight our way through things that unfortunately I do feel like left-wing people, and again, this does tie into what I was saying about, you know, the LGBT community and stuff. There is so much like pick-meism even within our own community, not even having to be right-wing, but just like, I want to be the one who gets the brand deals. I want to be the one that has the attention. I want to be the one that does this because there's not as many opportunities for LGBT people, and it can be a little bit competition-wise where it just shouldn't be a competition, and this ties into so much politics. I wish you would stop worrying about these little tiny things. I get you might not agree with certain things, but if we don't band together like the right-wingers do, they are always going to win. They are always going to win at the end because we can't get along with ourselves. How are we going to get anyone else going to get on if we can't get on ourselves? If the technology for cyborgs became mainstream, would you want to be one? I mean, I'm all for... I'm very, like, I guess forward thinking, what's the right word? I'm very, I'm not very resistant to like modern technology when it comes to things that can aid you and aid humanity. I know some people think it's like playing God. I mean, I don't think I would get it, or at least right now, I don't think the technology's there, but like I'd be more than happy to get some sort of like implant in my hand that helps me pay for things. I could just pay with my hand. It's like, I'm all for those kind of things. I love the technology and implementing sort of some kind of machinery into humans. I think it's a great way to sustain life. So, but again, this is all very futuristic, and like I think we're not there yet with technologies. And I really wish, if we can find ways to use AI to help detect cancer really early, wonderful. I'd love to be able to, detect things like cancer and all that stuff early on to be able to like fix the issue before like it spreads. Like that's wonderful. And if someone's missing an arm or a leg or hands or something, I love the idea of really being able to like give people the opportunity to get a new arm, get a robotic arm or a limb or something. Like obviously if it's their own personal choice if they really want to. I love technology to be able to really aid humanity in living longer, living healthier lives, better lives. The unfortunate thing about it is with every single leap in technology, and we're seeing this now with AI, regardless of what it's being used for, there is always going to be bad people with the good. And that is going to always be the case for everything that we invent going forward. AI is the thing that we're having at the moment. So we've got AI that can be used to detect cancer. AI can be used to, aid many people in many different options, get rid of some of the boring jobs, get rid of some of the things. And I love that we can do that with AI. But of course, now there's the bad side of AI, which is going to take people's jobs and ruin communities. And, people doing deep fakes of people that aren't real, potentially causing wars. There is so much damage that can come from it as well. And that's the battle now. It's like, how do we moderate this so it doesn't go out of hand? And unfortunately, I don't really feel like they do, because AI can make people so much money that it does mean that, unfortunately, the billionaire people who run it, you really think Elon Musk gives a shit about bad AI? No, he loves it. Anything that can make him money. These richest people in the world, that's the problem here. And unfortunately, when it comes to implants and all this like technology that can help, like cyborg kind of stuff you see in films and things where like people are half robots and stuff, there will also be people who really badly use that and abuse that and use it for their own gain. There'll be people who, if we can detect things in birth, if they ever, the gay gene, they will try to find the gay gene. Like if that was ever a thing that was ever like found, full well, abort, I don't want a gay child, kill it. I don't know. There are also negative things when it comes to, technology and everything. But unfortunately, that's always going to be the case. There will always be bad sides to everything. What does your average week look like when you film, edit, game, etc.? So I don't have like a specific schedule. Like one thing I do love about this job is, of course, the freedom to do whatever I want. One of the things that I've really struggled with ever since doing this as a full-time job is pre-recording loads of stuff. It takes a lot of energy to film videos, and doing multiple videos in a day can be quite strenuous on your, like, presenting is actually quite tiring. So I've been filming now for, you won't see it, but I've been filming for 2.5 hours. So sometimes like filming multiple videos can be a lot of work, but I've started to get to a good habit of filming more. But I don't have like a strict schedule. My alarm does go off at 8 a.m. every morning, and I get out of bed. I try my hardest to not sit on my phone scrolling. So I charge my phone at the other end of the room to stop me from lying in bed just like doom scrolling all day. Not all day, but just like loads of the morning, because I like to get my work done. I tried to keep my work schedule like a normal 9 to 5 as much as I can. This job you cannot run as a 9 to 5, but I tried to keep it like it as much as I can, just because the real world doesn't work like I do, or work like social media people. So if I ever have to do something in like the real world, like whether that's even just going to get tattoos or if I have a meeting, I still have to get up normally early times. So a lot of people in this job go to bed at like 2 a.m. and get up at like midday. But then if they have to go and do something that involves doing a normal workday, something that you would see in like a normal job. And the thing is, I can't still, like I've been so brainwashed by years of people degrading social media job. I still say normal job. Social media is a normal job. Anything that involves work outside the social media space, you still have to get up early. So I try to keep my schedule to a normal 9 to 5, but it's not uncommon for me to be editing until like midnight. So most of my day is I get up, I have my breakfast, I'll go to the gym, come home, I will then shower, film. If it's a filming day, I will then film 2 videos, and then I have like a chill out for like a couple of hours, and then I will get back and I will either start streaming if it's a streaming day, or I will start editing whatever video that needs to go up next. And then that's normally the day. The next day, because I've already done filming, unless I've got anything coming up, I'll tend to have a slower morning where I'll go to the gym still, come home, and I might look through my Instagram or my TikTok to find stuff for videos. I go through Instagram DMs and screen record and stuff sometimes to get things ready. I will look through, like, a lot of it's researching. I might message a friend and be like, do you want to hang out or something? I just try to just do admin-y stuff. It's very difficult to like tell you a week because my weeks vary so much. What I will say about this job, I don't really get time off, like real time off. It's very difficult because like you don't get holiday pay, you don't get sick pay. You have to do like things like your pension, all this stuff. You have to do everything yourself. So if I ever take time off, I have to do so much work in order to be able to have the time off. So like I'm going to Japan to see Callum this year. So like the 10 days, whatever I'm going to be there, I have to do so much work in order to make that 10 days work, which is very difficult sometimes. So that can be quite an intense couple of weeks preparing things to go live and make sure everything's ready. So I'm not like missing anything. Because again, if I miss a video, I do not get paid. There's no sort of sick pay. If I miss a video, I do not get paid. So that can be difficult. But my week is just like, editing, and I do everything myself as well. I don't have a team. Like a lot of people think when you get to a certain size, you have a team. Some people do. I don't. I do all the filming, I do the editing. I sometimes have help with my emails, but that's not very frequently. But I do all the admin, everything myself. So it's very difficult to like have time off. But I will say is, although it can be stressful, I really love my job. And this is what I've always wanted to do ever since you could back in like 2009-10. I've always wanted to be a full-time YouTuber, and I've been doing it now for 7 years full-time, almost 7 years. July will be my like 7th year. And I'm eternally grateful to be able to do this. And like, although, yes, I'm not getting the views I used to back in the day, I'm actually more successful now than I ever have been. You know, my channel's still going strong, even though, I'm not getting the, million views a video like I used to. My channel is still going strong, and I still don't have to stop. Like, it's still a full-time job that I'm able to continue. And I'm really, really grateful for the continued support that you have given me. Without you, I can't do it. And the people who are here and all the new people joining, I love and adore all of you. And I truly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so grateful that this is my full-time career, and it will be, for the foreseeable future, because you guys are sticking around. Like, people just don't. I think a lot of people just don't understand how you make this a job. I think some people just think, oh, you have to get millions and millions and millions of views, and that's all you. That's not how you make this a job. It takes a lot more work than just having a few viral videos. Like, you have to learn how to really sustain, which is why I'm actually quite grateful that it took me 10 years to become like YouTube famous or known, whatever, because I learned so much in that time that when it did happen, I was able to use that and capitalize on it. I still could have done better, to be honest, because of course, I was the first one in my friendship group to go like viral on the internet. I was the first one to make it a full-time job, so I wasn't really able to learn from anyone, but I still feel like I've done a good job at sustaining it. Who are your top 5 Eurovision for this year? I'm not going to be doing like a Eurovision video this year. I think last year has really affected the pull of people that have tried to apply for this year. Because honestly, the pool of songs for this year, it ain't good. I mean, normally Eurovision does a thing where it goes really good year and then a bit meh, then really good, then a bit meh. This year's gone from really good to jank. And so far, I mean, I'll get my little thing. I've got that Eurovision app. My favorite of this year is Malta serving cans. Like, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to get demonetized, but I love Malta for this year, and Finland have a good song, and Spain. Other than those 3, they're my top 3 songs for this year. I've got other ones like Belgium and Ireland and Norway that I like them, but I don't think they're like, this year's just, I don't know, this year's just a bit meh. So Malta's my favorite. Even Melody Festival, and I watch a lot of the pre-selection shows that happen each year, and even Melody Festival in this year is jank. Like, it's really not good. The pool of songs they've got for their Melody Festival in this year, which is the Swedish selection show, and I watch it every. I've been watching it for 10 years or whatever. It's really bad. Well, guys, I think that's enough for today. I've been filming for so long. I was like, I'm gonna make a quick Q&A video, and I've been filming for like almost 3 hours. Again, this is gonna get cut down a lot. It's because I don't stop talking. As I said about ADHD stuff, my mind is constantly rolling. So if you start asking me questions, I will just talk until the stage where I give way too much information, way too many details. Like, why am I even like explaining this to you now? And just go. Thank you for following me. Hit the subscribe button. More videos coming up on this channel. I want to do a lot of the questions here actually on this are about like horror movies and movies and stuff I want. What are my favorite films? I'm going to do like a little video where I go downstairs with you guys and I'll show you my DVD collection. We can talk about my horror films and favorite things. So I can do a separate video on that. So I'm going to do that. I keep getting asked as well to do a Funko Pop video. I do want to do one. I absolutely want to do one. It's just going to take me a long time to film because I have so many fucking Funko Pops. That's going to get done at some point as well. So just these things are going to happen. But thank you so much for following me. All the love and support. This video has gone for way too long. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course, if you already follow this channel and you stumbled across this one, hello, I do have a main channel as well, so make sure you go check out that one as well. We do a little bit more edited and a bit more wacky videos. The light is literally darkened on my face because it's got dark since filming this. Bye.